Air compressor update. Did a little more work on the system today. As you know, we got the high flow fittings all the way around. Just a common blowgun. Got a few more accessories up here. Digital tire meter and 3 different variations of blowguns. Got 11-gallon storage dry tank, 7-gallon wet tank, and then a 30-gallon Campbell Hassfield compressor. Today I did some rerouting of the piping and tubing. We have just an on-off ball valve, 3/8 ball valve. The 1/4, 1/4 ball valves are too small. They don't allow any flow through. So I got a 3/8 ball valve, so it goes from 1/4 to 3/8, back to 1/4 to a high flow to a 3/8 tube to a wet tank. Before it hits the wet tank, it hits 2 stages of filtration. I move both filters down here, fire up the air, and you get to see the water pass through it. And pressurized. And then after it goes through 2 stages of filtration, water and oil separation, then it goes to a 7-gallon wet tank, which is a cobalt tank. It does have a drain in the bottom of it, so I can drain this tank of condensate. And then after that, it's goes to a 3-foot hose, which goes to a pre-filter before it hits the dry tank. So at this point, we're at 3 stages of filtration. And then it goes to a 11-gallon air tank, as well as the final outlet here, which is just a regulated outlet with a high flow fitting to a 50-foot rubber hose. And then I connect that to a 100-foot hose reel. That's a Flexzilla. So this is the new setup currently. New ball valve, Merlin cleaner. I don't have this huge thing off the side, and it was vibrating when the engine was running of the compressor, so the motor more or less, so that was no good because it was like 1.5 feet long. So this is a little bit cleaner. We're out of the filters down here. I'm probably going to branch this off with a T here and then do more filters off of this. I'm probably going this way, kind of just like how this is. That way I save on space a little bit, and it's a little more streamlined. So that way I don't have to have pretty much section from here to here that, you know, is that long. Because right now we're probably over about 3 foot between there and there. So you got to have room for this. I have an entire pallet that's dedicated to these. That's just my portable tank. That's not connected to anything. But I am going to put a junction in before the wet filtration. It's going to have a T probably here. With a check valve, and then going to a T where I can plug this compressor into it to run to this wet tank and then to the dry tank, so I can pretty much have double CFM. This isn't rated for 135, this is rated for 150, so I can set this one to 130-ish, 120, and it should equal out right about 135, 140. We'll have more CFM, so I gotta build a junction and tee in with a check valve. That way air can't go back this way, it can only go this way. So the check valve's gonna have to be in line. If we do a T here, it's gonna have to be right there. So that's the new update. I also relocated the check blow-off valve, emergency release valve to the side. Left the gauge up top for tank pressure, haven't touched it. From now on, I'm just going to shut the pressure off between the tanks to drain the lines. So we're going to keep pressure in every tank, but the plan is to isolate the lines and drain them of air. That way there's no pressure constantly on this line. So we got the valve off. We're going to go ahead and bleed this down. No air in the hose. So there's nothing in here. We're going to add an on-off valve here so I can shut the air off between here and here as well. That way we can kind of isolate the tanks in case of a blowout or an emergency, and relieve the pressure off the hoses 24/7, because it's really, unless you hard pipe this with copper or black iron or galvanized, rubber hoses are rubber hoses. You know, you can have a day where all of a sudden they get a bubble and they blow up. So these are all Merlin, high quality, rated for 200 psi, I think, or 300 bursting. Yeah, 300 bursting pressure. So I'm only at 135, so That's less than half, so I should be good to go. But this is the new setup. Just got a smaller regulator here instead of that big one. That big one from Walmart was leaking, and I really didn't care for it, how I had to bend down to adjust it and to see the gauge. The gauge faces straight up. You can clearly see what pressure you're setting, and then just spin it from there, and that's your outlet pressure. So thanks everyone for watching. We're almost at 1,000 subs. Can't thank everyone enough. More content coming soon. Gonna be taking down some trees with the 562 XP and the 550 Mark II. Take care everyone, stay safe.